servants had forgotten the affair of Abraham. In all that time the inhabitants of the earth, with the exception of Noah and his household, transgressed against the Lord, and they made unto themselves every man his god, gods of wood and stone, which could neither speak, nor hear, nor deliver from distress. The king and all his servants, and Terah with his household, were the first to worship images of wood and stone. Terah made 12 gods of large size, of wood and of stone, corresponding to the 12 months of the year, and he paid homage to them monthly in turn. The true believer. Once Abraham went into the temple of the idols in his father's house, to bring sacrifices to them, and he found one of them, Maromath by name, hewn out of stone, lying prostrate on his face before the iron god of Nahor. The idol was too heavy for him to raise it alone, and he called his father to help him put Maromath back in his place. While they were handling the image, its head dropped off, and Terah took a stone and chiseled another Maromath, setting the head of the first upon the new body. Then Terah continued and made 5 more gods, and all these he delivered to Abraham, and bade him sell them in the streets of the city. Abraham saddled his mule, and went to the inn where merchants from Phadanah in Syria put up on their way to Egypt. He hoped to dispose of his wares there. When he reached the inn, one of the camels belonging to the merchants belched, and the sound frightened his mule so that it ran off pell-mell and broke 3 of the idols. The merchants not only bought the 2 sound idols from him, they also gave him the price of the broken ones, for Abraham had told them how distressed he was to appear before his father with less money than he had expected to receive for his handiwork. This incident made Abraham reflect upon the worthlessness of idols, and he said to himself, "What are these evil things done by my father? Is not he the God of his gods, for do they not come into being by reason of his carving and chiseling and contriving? Were it not more seemly that they should pay worship to him than he to them, seeing they are the work of his hands?" Meditating thus, he reached his father's house, and he entered and handed his father the money for the 5 images, and Terah rejoiced and said, "Blessed art thou unto my gods, because thou didst bring me the price of the idols, and my labor was not in vain." But Abraham made reply, "Hear, my father Terah, blessed are thy gods through thee, for thou art their God, since thou didst fashion them, and their blessing is destruction, and their help is vanity. They that help not themselves, how can they help thee or bless me?" Terah grew very wrathful at Abraham, that he uttered such speech against his gods, and Abraham, thinking upon his father's anger, left him and went from the house. But Terah called him back, and said, "Gather together the chips of the oak wood from which I made the images before thou didst return, and prepare my dinner for me." Abraham made ready to do his father's bidding, and as he took up the chips he found a little god among them, whose forehead bore the inscription, "God Berisat." He threw the chips upon the fire, and set Berisat up next to it, saying, "Attention! Take care, Berisat, that the fire go not out until I come back. If it burns low, blow into it, and make it flame up again." Speaking thus, he went out. When he came in again, he found Berisat lying prone upon his back, badly burnt. Smiling, he said to himself, "In truth, Berisat, thou canst keep the fire alive and prepare food." And while he spoke, the idol was consumed to ashes. Then he took the dishes to his father, and he ate and drank and was glad, and blessed his god Maromath. But Abraham said to his father, "Bless not thy god Maromath, but rather thy god Berisat, for it was he who, out of his great love for thee, threw himself into the fire that thy meal might be cooked." "Where is he now?" exclaimed Terah, and Abraham answered, "He hath become ashes in the fierceness of the fire." Terah said, "Great is the power of Berisat. I will make me another this day, and tomorrow he will prepare my food for me." These words of his father made Abraham laugh in his mind, but his soul was grieved at his obduracy, and he proceeded to make clear his views upon the idols, saying, "Father, no matter which of the 2 idols thou blessed, thy behavior is senseless, for the images that stand in the holy temple are more to be worshipped than thine. Zucheus, the god of my brother Nahor, is more venerable than Maromath, because he is made cunningly of gold, and when he grows old, he will be worked over again. But when thy Maromath becomes dim, or is shivered in pieces, he will not be renewed, for he is of stone. And the god Joab, who stands above the other gods with Zuchias, is more venerable than Berisat, made of wood, because he is hammered out of silver, and ornamented by men, to show his magnificence. But thy Berisat, before thou didst fashion him into a god with thy axe, was rooted in the earth, standing there great and wonderful, with the glory of branches and blossoms. Now he is dry, and gone is his sap. From his height he has fallen to the earth, from grandeur he came to pettiness, and the appearance of his face has paled away, and he himself was burnt in the fire, and he was consumed unto ashes, and he is no more. And thou didst then say, I will make me another this day, and tomorrow he will prepare my food for me. Father, Abraham continued, and said, the fire is more to be worshipped than thy gods of gold and silver and wood and stone, because it consumes them. But also the fire I call not God, because it is subject to the water, which quenches it. But also the water I call not God, because it is sucked up by the earth. And I call the earth more venerable, because it conquers the water. But also the earth I call not God, because it is dried out by the sun. And I call the sun more venerable than the earth, because he illuminates the whole world with his rays. But also the sun I call not God, because his light is obscured when darkness cometh up. Nor do I call the moon and the stars God, because their light too is extinguished when their time to shine is past. But hearken unto this, my father Terah, which I will declare unto thee. The God who hath created all things, he is the true God. He hath empurpled the heavens, and gilded the sun, and given radiance to the moon and also the stars, and he drieth out the earth in the midst of many waters, and also thee hath he put upon the earth, and me hath he sought out in the confusion of my thoughts. End of chapter 5, part 3.